Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Today it's Monday, so you know what that means. We have the Mallard again. Just going to do the single issue today because I'm a little bit tight on time. We've got the interior part of the tender, and I believe this is the only part we need today. So we're not putting this in the tender just yet. However, next week, when it comes to issue 90, I believe we're using this, putting it in the tender, and actually doing a little bit more assembly on the tender. So there's a little bit more work to do in issue 90. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great. Starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, so issue 89 of the Mallard. So just a quick flick through. As you can see, we've got this large plate. And this is the tender deck, is what they're calling it. So got a few small bits to do, but it looks like primarily we're punching, bending. So it looks like we actually need to punch the metal out in that case. So I'll check that one out in a minute. And then we've got some bending to do. You can see we've got a couple of templates here to try and get it bent to the right shape. And we just need to run some glue along just to make sure that they're all secure. And then we'll end up with something that looks like this at the end of it. We've got the Mallard story, and then we've also got Britain's Railways. So, got the tender plate out, as you can see. Before we do anything with it, we need to mark out some lines for the coal partition, apparently. It's going to go into these two places here. Now, I'm not quite sure why we're doing this, because surely if it's got some tabs, we're going to know where it goes anyway. But apparently, we need to do effectively like 1/4 of a millimetre either side of this hole. So it's going to be about there-ish. It's going to be just the other side of these holes, basically. All I'm going to do is use a pair of pointed tweezers just to mark a line across here. Still not 100% sure the purpose of it, but I will do it because you never know what comes next. Right, so got 2 lines scribed along there. The next thing we need to do is get a hammer and a punch. Now we've got 2 indents here. Now just double checking which way up this needs to go. We're going this way up. We're basically just creating what looks to be a couple of drain holes. So just using a center punch. Just going to do that. So we've got those 2 like so. Next thing we need, we've got these sections here. And we basically need to form a curve. Now it does say about using a bending bar. I don't actually have a bending bar. So I'm going to have to work out something else to use to curve this around. Now it looks like it's just sort of a gentle curve. You can see we've got some lines on the back here just to help us with that. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to just use one of my little storage bins. And we'll just put it on there and just use a hammer just to help curve that over. Right, so both of those are bent into a sort of a curve. Should be absolutely fine. Now, just using this template here, and I was just basically eyeballing it. Hopefully you can just about see it on the top camera. So those curves match up with these. And I think once it's actually going into the tender. Might be able to just tweak it a little bit more, but I think that's a pretty good close match at the moment. So now we need to look at this tender template, and we're basically going to be bending here and here to form this shape. So I'm just going to bend that one up first. And just try and adjust as needed. That looks pretty good to me. So hopefully you can see that on the top camera. So got that bent to that template shape. Right, so we're now going to be bending these upwards. And that's just going to meet up like that. Now I probably will overbend these a little bit just to keep them in place, or just to help them stay in place, and then we just need to glue those. We just need to potentially adjust any of the angles, but I think we actually got a pretty good angle on there, to be fair. And then it's just going to be a case of gluing these here. What I'm going to do is just have the part this way up. I'm just going to work on one side at a time. I'm just going to run a bit of glue from the top to the bottom. Give it a little bit of a wiggle, just so that glue will seep into that gap. And then do the same thing for this side. So just make sure that gap is closed up, and just run a little bit of glue down there. And we get that glued in like that. Now obviously there is a bit of excess glue on there at the minute, but that's not going to make too much of an issue. This will all be hidden underneath the tender anyway, so all I'm just going to do, just smooth it out a little bit, just making sure that glue does penetrate that gap completely. With it all smoothed out, it should dry off quite quickly. But that is what that's looking like. Right, next up we have some tiny parts, as you can see. And these are tender lift links, I think, or something like that. And basically what we need to do is get this piece that's got the little eye for it. That's going to slot into this rectangular piece, hopefully. So just put a bit of glue on the back of that one. Put it to one side for a second. We have these larger detail pieces, and we need to put a bend in here. I think this is a job for the larger pair of pliers. Now there is a left and a right. I believe this is the right hand side one, and I believe that is this one here. That's going to sit just there. Now you notice that we've got a little slot in there, and that's because we also need to glue this piece we glued just a moment ago into that slot, like that. So using the glue that's on the back of this, I'm just going to glue that in place as well. Just going to finish off this side with this one. So we've got those in there like that. And that is all we're doing that stage. We do have these two items and these still left over from this pack. So keep those to one side. I believe we are going to be using them next time around. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So I know not a great deal to do and we don't really have a great deal to show for it today. But next week we will be putting that in the tender, and I believe we will actually be doing quite a bit more assembly on the tender, including adding into the front part that we built up last week, just to basically have more of a fully assembled tender. So that's next week. It will only be the one issue next week, which is issue 90. The following week, I believe we are starting on the front bogie of the engine. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. If you do want to see how this progresses or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. And that way you won't miss out on future videos. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.